Hi everyone, welcome to School of Scarlet. I'm so happy to have you here today. So today we're going to be talking about a question that I've received from a couple viewers and a question that I've seen for myself and kind of pondered for my own self. And that question is, where do non-duality speakers go? It seems that non-duality speakers start out on YouTube, have some videos, some followers, things like that, and then within a year they seem to fizzle out and leave. So where are they going? What is happening to these people? So I can't really tell you what's happened to them. They would have to tell you that for themselves. But I'm going to be sharing with you some of the observations I've made and the story of one particular person that has shared with me their story. And the whole situation around people leaving non-duality, if you kind of notice some of these people that, if you have been watching YouTube, that have left, most of the times it seems like it's an unraveling. It seems like their videos start to switch and now they're talking about the coming of Christ. They're talking about prophecies. They're talking about numbers. They're talking about a lot of recurring type things. These things are actually distractions. And what happens is when we are ascending in our consciousness, we are actually becoming lighter in our density. And we have to maintain a certain density in our body, which is why in my courses and in my videos, if you pay attention to this, I really do talk a lot about grounding. It's important to ground yourself to this earth, to yourself as the human being. Yes, you are just not only just a human being. You really aren't even a human being. You just aren't. But if you're coming to this message from non-duality, you understand that you aren't this body. You understand that you aren't even this identity that seems to be arising and seems to have these preferences, these personalities, these things. So we come to realize that that's not us. But what happens with non-duality is that we can go so far into the state of being, or I call the feminine, that we can get lost. We can get lost in an unraveling of the self so deep that it could lead to existential crises like mental illness, things that will take you out of being able to, let's say, make YouTube videos, let's say, keep up a job. Is there anything wrong with this? No, this is just what's happening. But if you're watching this video could be a great insight for you of the importance of grounding yourself to this earth. Now, what do I mean by grounding yourself? You are essentially a spiritual being, but you're in this body, and this body requires certain things. Just like a plant, it requires sunlight. It requires rest, sleep. It requires nutrition, a level of food that it needs. So one of the things that happened when I went to Michigan on a trip to go look for some property for our School of Scarlet, when I was there, they didn't hardly have any good food to eat. Nothing. And the fast food was even just super subpar. There was hardly anything I could eat from these menus, but I had to eat. So we went to a chicken shack. We went to a place called Ram's Horn, like a diner. We went to a Coney place, basically anything they had. It wasn't like the place where I live, where there's lots of variety, where there's lots of good food, where I know what I can eat. So when I was there, I noticed that I began to pretty much suffer from that, from not having the nutritious food that I was used to. My body became lethargic, my thinking became slowed, my activity wasn't at the level that it should have been. Also, I was staying in a home with a friend, and in that home, they smoked inside of the home. So it was 2 adults that smoke in the home. So I stayed there for 2 nights, and in that time that I was there, the smoke was getting to me. And this has happened to me before at different homes that have had smoke lately. And it was unbearable. Now, of course, I could ask myself to pull it back and I could regain my footing. But do I want to be continuously putting my energy in to grounding myself through my own personal power? Or would I rather just be in an environment that is good for me, good for this being? So I decided to leave and stay the last 2 nights in a hotel. And I ordered my own food there and everything like that, and really tried to regain some of those things that I needed to be grounded. Also, the place that I was staying didn't have a bathtub. One of the things I've always used most of my life is a bathtub. I really ground in water. I always love water. I love to swim and I love to take baths. So when I went to go get the hotel, I made sure that it had a bathtub. And you wouldn't believe, but within maybe 30 minutes of being there and taking a bath, I was 100% back to normal. And it felt amazing. It was night and day, from some sluggish character to this vibrant, now excited, feeling great in the body character. So this is all to say, this is what grounding can do to you. But the other thing is, when we have already been ascending, if we had a non-dual realization, a twin flame journey, you know, maybe you've gotten therapy and things and you've had major shifts in your life, your energy, it's a lot lighter. And so because of that, it requires certain things like water. You're going to feel a lot more heat in your body. And so you're going to need water. You're going to have to pay attention to what's going on in your body. Now, the only reason that I was very aware of this is because my personality is an INFJ, which means I'm very intuitive functioning since a child. So I've always been very aware of these like intuitive things. And so when I had my shift, I started noticing a ton of different things within my body. Started losing a bunch of weight. I started getting a lot more like healthier skin, healthier hair. I could sleep a lot less. I could get done a ton more in my day. Like strange things started to shift just within my own body. So I was very aware of this because I'm an intuitive being. So I was aware of this. And I began to piece two and two together and just notice that there were certain things that were very beneficial for me. And there were certain things that were very detrimental. And I've talked about this in other videos. For some time, it was really, really hard for me to be able to drink soft drinks. And I like to drink soft drinks. At some point, you kind of transcend that, but there will be times that you have to pay attention to your body. If your body is kind of out of whack. This can happen for various reasons that I won't go into here, but if you're feeling that your body is out of whack, it's time to ground yourself, to go take a walk outside barefoot, get your feet in the soil, feel the earth. Imagine yourself connecting to the earth. Imagine that there are strings, or that your feet are sending energy or strings of connection to the earth. Now, this is just stuff that comes into my mind, but is very helpful to connect with the earth. If you're feeling sick, go hug a tree, go be near a tree, observe a tree, have a friendship with your plants, with your trees, with the animals that you live with, your pets, any animals you have outside. I love spending time with birds outside. I love having bird feeders around my yard. I just filled up my hummingbird feeder. One of the main things that makes me super happy is seeing a hummingbird at the feeder. That's all it takes. And with that, you get grounded. Babies, children can ground you, being around them. So one of the reasons that I stay so grounded is because I hadn't really changed a whole lot about my life. Yes, I've transitioned to doing more of my own business. I now do my own counseling and one-on-one sessions from home. But I still love to engage with children and things that I've always done. So I substitute teach, I volunteer and read. If I see kids out in the community, I engage. So I haven't left any part of myself. And my family is my family. I have a family at home. So I ground myself through my family as well. Half of my day I work, I do different things, and half of my day I do a lot more family things. Now, but throughout my day, I can tell you all of my day is joyful. All of my day feels like a vacation. All of my day, I'm excited to move on to the next thing anyhow. So by the time it's time for my husband to come home or my daughter to get picked up, I am so excited for that transition. And so it's wonderful. So you're going to want to create a routine in your life that is grounding, that is healthy for you. A routine that maintains you on a daily basis, but also renews you on a daily basis. Do you have a routine that allows you to maintain your personal self-care? Make sure that's integrated into your day daily. Is there a routine for your home to stay clean and up to par for you daily? Because you see, as you ascend, as you have more energy flowing through you, you will require more. It seems like you require less, but really you require more of the good stuff. You require a nice clean home, peace, love, a beautiful garden. You require the Garden of Eden, my love, because that is you. You are everything. And that Garden of Eden was made for you. And so you deserve it. It's here for you. And when you're out of alignment with the Garden of Eden, you're living in, like, let's say, some cluttered up, depressing hole, you're going to feel bad about yourself. You're not going to feel good because that doesn't align with who you truly are. Everything is about aligning with who you truly are. Now, if you feel absolutely great in a home like that, well, then more power to you. Then you're in the right place. I can tell you I like a clean home, but I do like a little bit of a balance where I can relax. So for me, if the fly lady came in with her white glove and said this isn't as clean as it should be for this being, I may have to beg to differ a little bit because there is a little level of comfort that I still like to maintain there. But who knows, that may change. But we do require certain things for our body. What kind of nutrition, what kind of food are you bringing into your body? That's very important. At some level that changes, and you can dictate what you eat and it won't affect you. You can pray over it, you can declare it, and it'll be good for you. But as you are ascending, if you're not careful about grounding yourself, you can get lost in, I would say, kind of like a super ego, thinking that you can bypass these things, that you don't have to take care of your body, that you don't have to take personal responsibility in your life. And that is a huge, huge trap. So let me repeat it once again. There's this huge trap when you get into non-duality, or you have a non-dual glimpse or whatever. There's this huge trap to escape personal responsibility. The superego will try to say you don't have to do anything. You don't have to take responsibility for yourself. This is all just happening for you. It's coming out on a silver platter. You don't have to do this. So sit back, relax, just do whatever you want. Part of that is true, which is why I say all of my day is joyful, because all of my day is play. And I've designed it that way. So I've taken personal responsibility to design my life in a way that it is joyful throughout the whole day. Now, did that just happen? Yes, it unfolded that way. It unfolded that way because I followed my heart, but I had to follow it. I had to take those steps. Was it easy? No, it was not that easy. I had to go against every single one of my beliefs. I had to leave every single one of my beliefs, and these beliefs were tied to a lot of things. These were tied to my education, believing that my degree meant something. These were tied to my religion, believing that my religion meant something more. That my parents, that authority figures, that people in my life had something that I didn't have. That someone had an answer outside of me. But the school system, your parents, the religious system, nothing outside of yourself has any answers. And when you realize that, you get turned back into yourself and you realize that you designed this game. And that's where the personal responsibility comes in. So in non-duality, so many people get trapped and just totally lost, I would say, and almost in a worse state than they were, because they become almost like vegetables, not doing anything in their homes, just watching these videos nonstop. This is not a way to live. This is not bliss. That is a distortion of programming that's very deeply embedded into non-duality. And what happens is it basically allows you to waste your life away without realizing the truth of unconditional love, of the neutrality of everything, of the truth of everything. So you realize the half-truth, but where is the fullness? Where is the love? Without that, you will be very unstable. You'll be on unstable foundation. You will be on sinking sand because you don't have the balance. You have the emptiness, but you don't have the fullness. You don't have the full grasp and understanding. So there's no way you can have a foundation. If you're just functioning off emptiness, you're functioning off the feminine, which can lead you into nonsense, really. It's basically people that are in this, or you can say the people that are on the side of the street that are rambling about that Jesus is coming and going on, and it's like they're channeling. They're really saying sometimes some very profound things, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's very fragmented, very, very fragmented, very strange. And it's because they've gone far into the feminine And they have experienced some bliss. They are in bliss. And they're also a little bit of suffering because, as you can see, they're concerned. But they've gone far out there. They didn't ground themselves. They didn't ground themselves in anything. They didn't ground themselves in things as simple as family, as the earth, as your job, as all of these things. So a lot of people that I find that, so we're talking about why these people have left non-duality or YouTube. A lot of times they abruptly leave their careers. They abruptly leave their families. They abruptly even leave their children. They make changes that are really radical. And that's why I'm saying following the heart is not always easy, because it does take you to basically detachment, because attachment is suffering. So it makes you really turn back into yourself. And through losing all of these things, if you're not grounded enough in who you are, in the paradigm of truth, then you're going to get lost and you're going to have a crisis. You're going to have a human crisis, meaning you're going to end up in a mental hospital. And I've worked in mental hospitals. I've seen this time and time again. One of the main things that we see when I would work at the mental hospitals is people coming in that have been totally lost due to their spiritual beliefs, being totally ungrounded. It's almost a dangerous thing to reveal certain truths or allow certain people to have certain glimpses. Of course, this is all happening naturally. So if it happens naturally, it is part of the unfolding of that being, and that is meant to be. So we should allow it. But of course, as a mental health provider, as they come in, we have to ground them, get them back into this reality to some level. So as a mental health worker with someone to that level, when they show up at the hospital and they're declaring that they have seen Jesus or Buddha and they have been talking to him and that they have given them this message and this and that, we have to honor that, respect it. Even in the psychological field, we are trained and taught in university to discern even from the spiritual, because there are situations that are spiritual. And so we have to kind of respect that, but at the same time ground the person in getting them some food, some water, their medications if they need it, a bed, sunshine if they require that. Everybody does, but if it's possible for them to safely go sit outside, get them a bath, get them some physical touch, talk to them, nourish them. And in doing that sort of grounding, all of a sudden we begin to see that there is now a balance, that the divine and the human are now balanced within. And we are able to have a conversation and discuss what it was that happened that led to this vision of Jesus, of Buddha, of this crisis of why we're here. And so I've done this time and time again with clients, and it works. We just need to ground these people and help them at that point. But this is the same thing. So for you, the viewer, myself, anyone watching this, it's not a coincidence that you're watching this. It's to just bring into your awareness, into your consciousness, the importance of grounding. For if you feel that you are getting a little aloof, a little too light, a little too airy, and just kind of floating up there, and you need a little more grounding, this video is to kind of shed light on that, to give you some simple little things that you can do, like I mentioned, going out in the sunlight, walking barefoot, petting your animals. I have horses, I have cows, I have cats, dogs. I love to pet them. That's grounding. I have a video on my other channel about grounding with a cat. So if you're interested in that, watch that on Scarlett's Intuitive Life. I'll link it down below. But this is important. This is important. And if you have a family life, if you have a routine, and parts of those routines still work for you, continue to do that. I've also seen with people that have discovered non-duality or had a glimpse of some kind, that they completely throw goals out the window. They completely throw anything out the window, even dreams sometimes that they actually do resonate with, but they don't want to work towards them anymore. So they completely use non-duality as a way to escape personal responsibility. So there's two things that I'd like you to pay attention to here about why people become basically ungrounded and unstable, is because they simply are ungrounded. Simple, right? Why are they ungrounded? Because they're not grounded. Simple. They're not grounded. Okay. The second thing is they're not identifying with the paradigm that they are currently experiencing. So they're too identified in the human or too identified in the divine. There's no balance, because if we're appearing in this body, you're not only the divine, you are appearing as a human, and you do have limitations, and there are laws here, whether you want to believe that or not, that are keeping you limited. And if you want to argue with me about that, then go ahead. But there are clearly limitations here for this being, as the expression of infinity is expressing as a human through you. So that's what's happening here. So we have to make sure that we have the grounding, that we are aligned with a balanced paradigm, that we are aligned with our balanced energies. You can even see it within the feminine and the masculine. It's the same thing. So these sorts of things will help you to maintain your life. Now, we don't want to throw our goals, our whole life out the window. There are parts of our lives that are beautiful. And if you have children, if you have a marriage, all of these things, they are beautiful. And unless they are not, and you are really truly wanting to move away from that, these are the things that will actually ground you. These are the things that will actually bring you the most joy and the most connection and the most life that is lived within your being. So one of the other things I hear a lot is to not trust life coaches. Now, I'm not really sure why people continue to. I myself am not a life coach. I am a counselor, and I've been working as a counselor for many, many years. College educated, but I have also had different experiences, direct experiences, which is what I talk about here on YouTube. I've helped many, many people. I've worked in many different capacities. I've seen basically lots of life. I've worked at domestic violence shelters. I've worked helping children that have been abused. My specialty is working with people that have autism. I've worked with couples. I've worked with so many things, so many people over this course of my life that I've seen so much. And so I get the understanding of these things. I've seen these things play out within my career before I ever came to this channel, before I ever came to my own realizations. I was seeing and observing these things within other people. And I've had the blessing of having done that. So a lot of times, the other thing about non-duality speakers and why they leave or where they're at or what's going on with them is that they're truly not embodied. You know, they've had a glimpse, they've had a realization, but they haven't had the work. They haven't had the life lived. They haven't had the experiences. So as they begin to awaken to the heart, it becomes very uncomfortable, and they have to live out these things. So, you know, they'll either go back into the mind or they'll go into the heart, but they'll have to go and live out these things. They'll have to actually go serve people. They'll actually go do these things that maybe they hadn't gotten to experience. You know, a lot of people that I talk to or I see on YouTube, they've never been married. They've never had kids. They've never, traveled or done a lot of things. So because of this awakening will eventually spark something for them, and they will have to leave such a space and have to really live their lives, because life isn't just about sitting here talking on camera. It's actually about living it. And if you have something to tell, if you have something to share with others after you've lived that life, then get on here and speak it. And I know that many of you have stuff to share with others. So if you are feeling called to start your own YouTube channel, do that. Do that for yourself. Do that for others. It's really for yourself. And so I'm going to be coming out with a video here soon. It's about the Holy Witness. And it's talking about why teach, why make these videos. And maybe that'll bring you a little bit more clarity as to why non-duality speakers begin speaking or leave speaking, or how they even get involved in any of this. But as we begin to see non-duality speakers come and go as we do, that's just part of life. It's just another representation of the ever-changing life and the impermanence of life. And we always have things coming in and out, and they teach us things for the moment, and then they change, and then the winds change, and something else new comes in. So it's just part of life. But if you wanted to gain anything from this video, one of the main things that can help you to continue on your journey is to maintain some level of grounding and involve yourself in life. create a life for yourself that is actually a life that you can see, that is here on this earth, that it's not something that you can just speak about on YouTube. When people meet you, they can feel that within your energy field. When people come to your home, they can sense that in your home. You have built that Garden of Eden for your own self. So take some personal responsibility in that today. Don't shy from that like so many people do. That is only going to harm you. I love you too much to take that from you, or to not share that part of non-duality with you. There is a personal responsibility, and it's not for the individual self. I love you all.